On the night of Hillary Clinton's massive, epic loss to Donald Trump, Huffington Post had her winning 90-something%, or her chances of winning at 90-something%. She got the stuffing beat out of her all across the United States, with a 3 million or more win in California that gave her a saving grace of being able to say, I had 3 million more votes. The media, the political establishment, was shattered because she got beaten by a reality show host with no political experience. And Hillary Clinton, immediately, a few days afterwards, people asking her, how did you lose reality shows? I'm sorry you lost reality shows. I'm sorry you lost reality shows. And her having to explain to one person after the next. I would imagine many of these donors, seeing as they burn $1 billion on the White House lawn, comes out and says, I didn't lose because I chose Tim Kaine. I didn't lose because I cheated Bernie Sanders. I didn't lose because I didn't go to Wisconsin. I didn't lose because I was the most hated candidate in the history of candidates, with the exception of Donald Trump. I didn't lose because I told everybody that they were with me. I didn't lose because I didn't reach out to the lefties of the bunch. I instead tried to make this hellscape of Donald Trump eating babies and kicking puppies. I didn't lose by giving an affirmative, euphoric message. And if we're being honest, the public wouldn't have believed the euphoric message coming from a Hillary Clinton anyway. I lost for nefarious reasons. Vladimir Putin ran his finger up the skirt of Lady Liberty, and Russia and Trump was born. She told her political campaign to go out there and sell it. Donald Trump had been hitting the media, and the media bought it. Twofold. A, it puts asses in seats, because instead of somebody winning the election, it made it look as if Trump worked with Russians to win the election, and that's what they put out as a story. That puts asses in seats. Rachel Maddow has never done better in regards to ratings, and mainstream media has assiduously stuck to this idea of Trump and Russia for the past 2 years, never finding a smoking gun, yet stuck to this for 2 years. I wonder what would have happened if they went in the Clinton Foundation for those 2 years instead, or if they gave even 20%, 10% of the focus and attention to the Clinton Foundation, to those emails that WikiLeaks released, that they've given to Donald Trump. 2 years. The public doesn't care. The public may believe that Russia had, put Facebook and Twitter ads out, half of which took place after the election. But whether they don't believe it had the effect that the people are saying, that the public, that the media is saying it does, and they've screeched about this for 2 years. Here's the thing. When you get to this thing of Trump and Russia, and they haven't necessarily found anything to make the connection, and the sad, pathetic case of indicting a Russian woman that would never go to trial, or Russian companies that would never go to trial, and even when it did go to trial, the prosecution who brought the case wasn't ready to try the case because they had no expectation of the case ever being tried. It's a show trial. Now, but still, Trump and Russia. Hysteria has infected our media. Rational judgment pushed away. Any notion of impartiality pushed away. Trump and Russia. The media were being beat over the head by Trump. So right off the bat, they hate his guts. And they may even have internalized this thought that they are the stalwarts protecting democracy itself. Democracy dies in the darkness. They may believe that. But the reality of it is, they are fiscally motivated to take this role of Trump and Russia, in addition to this kind of antagonistic relationship with the President of the United States. The regular Hillary Clinton supporter, it assuages their belief of the world, this paradigm that they can't necessarily fathom the reality that people are living in situations where status quo doesn't work, where status quo was not what they wanted, status quo was not what they signed up for, and they wanted change. Even if it was radical change that was going to adversely affect them, they wanted change. The paradigm of the Hillary voter doesn't process that. In their mind, Hillary Clinton was supposed to win. And how on the world can she get her stuffing beat out of her by reality shows? It doesn't compute. Trump and Russia does. And if we're being honest, whether it computed or not, they hate Trump's guts. And whatever they can hit him with, they're going to hit him with. Similar in a way to the way they hated Obama. And so communists, socialists, Marxists, terrorists, all the stuff that used to come out of their mouth. One word, always in the background, lurking about. You saw it in the ape paintings and those type of things that they would say, but they would never say it because, at least not an overt mixed company. All of these people were incentivized in one way or another to go with this idea of Trump and Russia, without ever really having anything to show for Trump and Russia. This still goes on today. Mr. Oblivious Chuck Todd. Bombs being mailed to other human beings. Now, Trump has been having hate rallies where he's been attacking the press constantly and been using this kind of hate and ire that the public has towards the status quo and establishment to hit the press at his rallies in the face over and over and over again. Emma Vigeland went to one of the rallies and comes back and says, yes, the grassroots support for Donald Trump is real. Hillary Clinton couldn't fill an outhouse of an outhouse, but Donald Trump is filling stadiums. And the hatred was more palpable than she had ever seen. If you remember, back early on, Jimmy Dore went to a Trump rally, and Jimmy Dore comes out white as a ghost, at least whiter than Jimmy Dore typically is. And in that moment, he had a crisis of conscience of, oh my God, oh my God, can I really not get behind Hillary Clinton? Look back. Same thing with Anna. Anna was looking at those rallies. Initially, she wasn't going to vote for Hillary Clinton, and then she was brought to Jesus. In the context of that makes more sense as the motivation of a bomber. Now, I would even believe, based on CIA operations in previous parts of the history, even going to this thing where the CIA was talking about bombing a boat in order to create a pretext for the United States to attack Cuba. I can believe CIA operations. I can even believe a disgruntled Clinton supporter looking at the polls saying, Donald Trump is rising in the polls. We need to do something in order to stop Donald. I can even see people making arguments and conjecture for stuff like that. But there is nothing in this process. Not one thing, not one shred of evidence, not one indication, nothing that indicated Russia had anything to do with it. But Mr. Oblivious, Chuck Todd, questioned openly whether or not Russia was potentially responsible. Take a look at this. This is an amazing thing to watch.
Yeah. Trump to Hitler, but Goebbels called it the big lie. You just tell a lie as big as you can because you...
By the way, the big lie in this case is Trump and Russia. Even The Intercept got on board with this with James Risen. James Risen was eaten alive by Aaron Maté. It is an amazing interview to watch. He eventually just leaves because he couldn't necessarily deal with what Maté was saying of, you read this wrong. You put this out there wrong. There's a woman in prison today because of your failures. Answer for your failures. And instead of answering for his failures, instead of owning up, instead of coming to Jesus, he bailed. Still not coming to Jesus. The Intercept still not accounting for its failure. Still not accounting for its failure. But let's keep going.
You know that a lot of people are going to believe it.
This feels like a spot. I have this fear that it could be some Russian operation too, designed to do what's happening now. More of this, you know. And so in some ways we shouldn't rule out.
I mean, I'm just saying it's a very.
That is utter nonsense. That doesn't make sense at all. There is no indication, nothing. Chuck Todd pulled that squarely out of his ass and said, it could be Russia. Maybe it's Russia. I mean, Russia could be doing this. He believes that Russia, Vladimir Putin, is setting bombs and sending bombs to Donald Trump's political opponent. Why would Vladimir Putin do that? Why would Russia do that? And if you're trying to say it's creating division, all of these people are looking outside of this country for the problems that are assailing the country. The honest thing is to look internally to figure out what the fuck is wrong with your culture that is creating people, that is sending bombs to various places. Or for that matter, to have a guy that's a lunatic that would walk into a place and shoot up the joint with this weird amalgam idea of Jews, Muslims, and immigrants. Chuck Todd believes it's the Russians. Chuck Todd was magnificently wrong. Chuck Todd was going to be proven magnificently wrong even before Chuck Todd said that, because there was nothing to give any indication that Russia had anything to do with this. This was Chuck Todd openly on the air pulling something out of his ass that had nothing to do with anything. He just added Russia into the process. At this point, they've accused Russia of working in the environmental movement, in the Black Lives Matter movement. You know, it's not that a person was shot by a cop that pissed off the community. It was Russia. Russia had something to do with it. It's not the environmentalists were angry at the oil pipelines that were being added in the context of a hair on fire report that the world is coming to an end. No, it was the Russians. They've made this assertion that the Russians had something to do with all of these aspects of the politics. They blame them for stuff that took place in Germany when Germany said no, not so much. France, not so much. And in this case, sending bombs to political opponents of Donald Trump. And without one iota, one shred, one scintilla, one morsel, one corpuscle of evidence. Russia. That's embarrassing. Let's watch it again. Let's watch it again. Let's see his embarrassment again. It humors me to see his embarrassment.
Strange moment.
Mr. Oblivious Chuck Todd.
All right, I want to talk.
Come on, Chuck.
I don't like
Be wrong for me again.
I'm not comparing Trump to Hitler, but Goebbels.
But you are comparing Trump to Hitler just by making a statement. If you have to tell me that you're not comparing Trump to Hitler, then you're probably comparing Trump to Hitler. Come on, Mr. Oblivious.
I have this fear that it could
Do
be
you now?
some Russian operation too,
Do you now?
designed to do what's happening now. More of this, you know. And so in some ways we shouldn't rule out.
All of these people are millionaires. All of the people that are on the television networks, for all intents and purposes, are millionaires. All of the people who are giving you your news are magnificently well off. Please don't raise my taxes, Jake Tapper. And the entire news crew. They are sitting in an ivory tower, perfectly well off. The America that they experience is not the America that we experience. The majority of the public, what, 60% or more, doesn't have $300-400 in the bank if they got a bill for a medical bill or a car bill. I'm trying to get across this idea of the America that we inhabit as opposed to the America that they inhabit. It's not fucking Russia. The problems that are associated with your society are in your society. The problems that created that bomber. Do you know that bomber has sent off a thing to say to blow up the power company if the power company was going to cut his power off? That's the dire straits that that guy was in. That guy supports Donald Trump, the person who appointed Mnuchin, who had foreclosed on his house. He's supporting the person who has his boot on his throat. It's not just him. These people have wrapped themselves up looking for something to believe in. And the person that they found, something that's antithetical to the way to the political order as it is. I would wager to you that they probably don't even know what Trump's policies are, only that Trump is against that establishment, and that establishment hates his guts. The more they hate him, the more energy they give to Donald Trump in this case, not because of his policies, but purely because he is the thing that they dislike. Chuck Todd, believing that Russia is sending bombs all across the United States in order to create a division. Utterly insane. Utterly insane. Hysterical at best. I'll keep this quick. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through Patreon. Thanks all.